In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the pen tool. Now, the pen tool is located over in the tools palette. It looks like an old style fountain pen. And if we click and hold on to it, we can kind of see its variety of different kinds of versions of the pen tool. So we have the pen tool, which is quick button P. We have the add anchor point tool, the delete anchor point tool, and the anchor point tool, which is often called the convert anchor point tool. We're going to start off with just the pen tool. And the way that this works is according to whatever your stroke and fill is, when you click, it'll lay down an anchor. And we can kind of see that right here. And we can see where it's tracing out a path, which is a connection between two anchor points. And so when I click in the second spot, it will create a path from anchor point to anchor point. And when I click into another part, it'll continue on creating a shape. Since I've told it that I want to have a fill of yellow and a stroke of a darker kind of yellow, then it's automatically doing that. And as I click around, it'll continue to make that until I either bring it to the end part or press enter. I'll show you the difference between pressing enter or I'm bringing it to the end part. So if I press enter, you can see that it stopped that shape and I can start clicking around and creating a new shape. Problem is, by pressing enter, it doesn't actually fully close the shape. We can see here's our beginning, here's our end, and our outline doesn't fully connect. So there isn't a stroke outline because I stopped the shape prematurely. Whereas in this triangle that I just made, I brought it all the way back to the beginning and it connected it, so it has an outline all the way. If I want to continue a shape, I just have to go back to an original anchor or an open anchor like this one. I will click on it to tell it that I want to continue moving from that shape, and I will bring it over. And I can probably add on if I wanted to continue adding to this, and then I'm going to bring it to the end. And so now we have a full shape. So those are two full shapes created by the pen tool. Now, I can come back to the pen tool and I can choose these many options of add anchor point tool, delete anchor points, or the convert anchor point tool. But those are already built into the pen tool as it is. I just have to be conscious about where I'm clicking and what I'm doing with it. So if I hover my cursor over an anchor point, notice how its little the little icon next to it turns into a minus. So that will be the subtract anchor point. And you can see that it took it away, making it more simple and redefining the shape according to where I clicked. I can also add an anchor point. So maybe I want to add an anchor point right here. I'm going to add like some extra parts. So I'm going to add an anchor point here and here, here, and here. What I want to do with those various anchor points is I'm going to move to the direct select tool and I'm going to click on those anchors that I added and I'm going to move them so that I can redefine this shape. And so that is adding and subtracting anchors onto a pre-existing shape. Another version of the pen tool is the convert anchor point tool. And you can either select it as the option, so it stays on that option so that we're just converting points. Or if you're on the pen tool and you hold down option or alt on a PC, we can change it to the convert anchor point. And what that does, when we click on an anchor point and drag, we can see that it gives it these handles, and I can curve the anchor points to give them various curves to the path. And if I click on this specific handle and drag it, I can change it. And if there's a curvy anchor, as you saw I just did, if I go to a curvy anchor and I change to the convert anchor point tool by either option clicking or by holding down option or changing it over in the tools palette, if I click on it, it'll all of a sudden change it into just an angular version if I want to remove the curves very simply. I don't only have to select on the anchors. I can use the convert anchor point tool and hover over a path, and I can bend the path. So this is ways that we can further alter our shape after we have created it. Another way that we can work with the pen tool is by creating curves while we are creating the shape. If I click, and then when I go to my next click, before I let go, I'm going to click and then drag. And you can see I'm adding a curve to it. And as I move to the next space, and we can kind of see that my path is following that curve that I first ended, which can actually be good. It feels kind of natural. And so that'll add a curve. If I don't want a curve, say I want to create a sharp angle right here, it can be very difficult because it wants to continue that on. But what I can do is if I press Option and click on the last point, you can see how it took the curve away from going forward, but it kept the curve. So I'm going to create a straight line, and then I'm going to curve, and then I will Option click the last one to create it straight, click, curve, Option click the last one, straight. And so those are different ways that we can work with this. There we go. And so we have a couple of different shapes that we have created with the pen tool. I'm going to delete those things. I'm going to show you one final way that this can be helpful. If you drop in an image, it can be a helpful thing. This is a gigantic picture. There we go. I'll drop in a picture and make it nice and small. And so using the pen tool, we can trace around this so that I don't have to create this all on my own. And I'm just going to zoom in over here. I'll use the pen tool and I'll start off on, usually I like to start off on a point, and I'm going to click, drag to give it a curve, and click around. Every once in a while, skipping some spaces can be very helpful. And you can see it's automatically creating a shape, which is covering up my dolphin, which is actually a little bit frustrating. It is making it harder to see where the dolphin is and to be able to tell. So what I might want to do is click into the selection tool, click onto the shape before I finish it, and tell it that I don't want a fill so I can see in it. And I'll tell it that my stroke, maybe I'll bring my stroke down to 1 instead, so that I can see where it is, but I'm not having to worry about it covering up too much information. And then I'll give it a stroke and fill once I finish the shape. So I can continue using the pen tool. I'm going to go back to the last point I was at, going to click on it to tell it that I want to continue. And I'm just going to click around following the shape of this dolphin. Anytime I click and I don't want that curve to go in there, I'll Option click that last one so I can play around with that curve so I can catch the divots where they need to be. And I will continue to make this dolphin. So I'm going to speed up the video right here. And there we have it, one whole dolphin traced. And then I can go about and change the stroke and fill as usual, going back to the selection tool and changing it to, I don't know what would be a good dolphin. Let's make this guy, I don't know, do a green. And I think I want the stroke. Actually, I don't think I want the stroke at all. So I'm going to remove the stroke off of it. So it's just one solid dolphin shape. And I can either hide or I can delete the thing that I traced so that I only have the silhouette of the dolphin created by the pen tool. So that is the pen tool and how to use it, as well as subtracting anchor points, adding anchor points, and using the anchor point conversion to curve things and move things.